So you're new to Genshin, you're doing some 10 pulls, and while you don't get a 5-star, you do get Honorary 5-star Noelle. Now, what do you get with Noelle besides the best maid in all of Teyvat? Well, Noelle is a Claymore-wielding Geo user who's actually you're guaranteed to get her on the beginner banner. And in this video, we are going to look at the basics of Noelle, how her skill worked, how her burst worked, all of that fun stuff. Just like we do in every one of these videos, we're gonna look at the current build of the current Noelle that we are using. My Noelle is level 70 out of 70 with 958 attack, 1400 defense, 15,000 HP. Yes, Cyan, I'm going to get Noelle to 90, I promise. Her split 31.4 over 145.4, 120 energy recharge, and a Geo Goblet. For weapons, she is running a level 60 R1 White Blind. Yes, Cyan, I'm gonna get this to R5 and level 90, I promise. Artifacts. For artifacts, she is running a 4-piece Marshmallow Hunter. You might recognize these from the Gaming video. This is actually the set that I kind of leave on Noelle because I run Noelle with Farina, so this works out really, really well for her. For Constellations, she is C6 and her talents are 1, 4, 4. No, Cyan, I will not triple crown my Noelle. Sorry. I won't go that far. But first, let's look at her passives. When she's in the party but not on the field, if you have a character that goes below 30% HP, your on-field character, Noelle will create a shield for them. Her second passive is that it will decrease the cooldown of her skill for every 4 normal attacks or charge attack hits that she scores on an opponent, meaning that you can decrease the skill cooldown or her skill cooldown so that way you can use it and her burst almost always together. Now we're going to look through her constellations because you should have at least C1 if you have pulled Noelle on this current banner. C1, while her skill and her burst are both in effect, the chance of healing is increased to 100%. We'll talk more about that whenever we get to her skill and her burst. Number 2, it decreases the stamina consumption of her charge attacks by 20% and it increases the charge attack damage by 15%. Number 3 is normal. It is going to increase the level of her skill. Number 4, whenever her skill is either destroyed or it expires, then it will do an instance of geo damage that does a lot. Number 5 is going to be a normal one where it's going to increase the level of her burst. And her C6, that increases Noelle's attack by an additional 50% of her defense, which we'll look at whenever we look at her burst. Additionally, every opponent defeated during the skill duration adds 1 second of duration to her burst. So her burst will last longer the more enemies you kill. So now let's go look at how her whole kit works. Now, her normal attacks are going to be pretty normal. She's going to swing that claymore around, dealing damage. You're going to be using this a lot once you've used her burst. Her charge attack, she is the Beyblade variant. She is going to hold it out, lean back, and spin and spin and spin and spin. Now we're going to look at her skill. So her skill is going to do an instance of geo damage as well as creating this geo shield around her. If you swap to another character, the shield does stay, but with her, if you do a normal attack, it has a chance to heal your whole team. As you can see down over on the side here, you'll see the health going up whenever Noelle does damage or hits an enemy once she has that geo shield on her. Her shield does scale off of her defense. Her skill does scale off of her the shield does scale off of her defense as well as the amount of healing that it can happen scales also with her defense. And then of course you see like that random 8,000 at the very end or 10k later on. That is from that constellation where her shield bursts essentially whenever it expires or whenever it's broken. Now we're going to look at her burst, and her burst is going to do an instance of geo damage. It is also going to infuse her normal attacks with geo damage, as well as make its reach or its, I don't want to say AoE, make its range longer. As you can see, her claymore grows longer. And then you just do your normal attacks or your charge attacks to do geo damage. If you use her skill and her burst together, you will always heal. That is what that C1 was, which if you've got Noelle on this banner and you also had her for free from the Beginner Wish banner, you will have this constellation. So it will always heal the whole team doing her skill and her burst together, which is one of the reasons why she's so good with Farina. Now, something else with Noelle, whenever you use her burst, it is actually going to convert some of her defense into attack, right? C6 allows for 100% of her defense to go to her attack. So if we look at her stats, she has like 2,500 attack and like 1,800 defense, right? It's crazy. And you saw the attack before. It was not that high. So you do want to build defense on Noelle. Speaking of building a stat on a character, let's go look at artifacts. For early game or beginner, I'm going to say 2-piece Defender's Will, 2-piece Exile. It's going to get up your energy recharge, it's going to get up your defense, which like we just talked about, you want for whenever you're using her burst. For the main stats, go with a defense percent sands. Yes, you do need to use defense sands on a couple of characters. Geo Goblet, and then crit rate or crit damage. For weapons, we do have the 4-star craftable weapon, White Blind, which is going to be very, very good for her. It gets up defense, as well as whenever you do a normal charge attack, it is going to increase the attack and defense even more. And because this is craftable, it shouldn't be too difficult to R5. Yes, Cyan, I will R5 mine. Which can be a really, really good option for Noelle that is free to play friendly, but it's also a very, very good weapon for her. If for some reason you do not want to do White Blind, you do always have something like Favonius. This is probably going to be much more for like a healing where you want to have her burst up as much as possible. If you don't want to do Favonius, then you can go to Serpent Spine, which is going to be a battle pass weapon that is really good. It's going to get up crit rate. Or you can go down to a 3-star, which is going to be the White Iron Greatsword that also gets up defense. With Noelle being on the banner with Farina, that is phenomenal, because if you're pulling for Farina and you don't want to do a standard Farina team, a Noelle Farina team can be really, really good, because Farina is going to love Noelle's party-wide healing for the fanfare points, as well as having Farina drain Noelle's HP through her minions will allow Noelle to trigger the 4-piece Marshmallow Hunter. So them two together works really, really well. Typically running a C6 Goro is going to be good. I only have like C4 or C5. And then for your last slot, you could do Bennett. Really, you want to do another Geo character because of how Goro works. So you can do, I do Chiori, which is really, really good. Yes, I'm not getting Chiori's second doll, but that's okay. You can do Albedo, you can do Ningguang, you can do a lot of different Geo characters, Geo Traveler. You can do Geo Traveler. But in the Artifact Grinding Hell video, we're going to talk about a couple more teams that you can do with Noelle if you don't have Farina. There's not too many, right? Noelle and Farina together works super, super well. That is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, you be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or someone else be sure to answer it, and I'll see you in the next one.